So, friends, we are starting Telangana economy today. Of course, as you might already be knowing, economy and economic development has a significant portion in Telangana Group 1. In the preliminary, we have the economy portion where they say economic and social development. That is actually in the preliminary syllabus. That is segment 5, economic and social development. Here lot of questions from economy, what you can see from the policies or the developments or per capita income, poverty, and all these questions can come here. Then we also have see Telangana economy was not specifically mentioned in the group 1 preliminary, but friends, we have a section where policies of Telangana state. For example, Telangana economic policies, the government policies across sectors, for example, whether you see Raitu Bandhu or whether which gives input subsidy, or whether you see Mission Kakatiya, or whether you see Bhagiratha for water, right? Or you see strategic road development project, strategic Nala development project, right? Then we have the celebrated most successful policy of Telangana IPAS industrial policy, which has been attracting lot of investments from foreign countries, foreign direct investment as well as domestic companies. Okay, so I think in the Telangana state policies, the economic policies will also play a very crucial role. So that way, reading economy paper in a comprehensive manner before your preliminary examination will really help you out in a significant manner. So this is one area where you can actually study in a prelims come mains approach. And friends, our classes from now onwards to cover the entire paper, that is paper 4, we have 3 segments in this, right? One is the Indian part, right? I'm sure all of you have the syllabus by this time, right? Economy and development. Paper 4, we have one section in the economy and development where we have national income and related aspects in the unit 1. Then poverty and unemployment, income-based poverty, non-income based poverty. So the social development, economic and development, what we see here, that we can find here. Then money and banking is a very important segment in Indian economy part. You know, Indian banking, RBI, monetary policy, inflation, right? The MPC, the repo, reverse repo, how RBI is facing the tough challenge of inflation today. You know, you see last 2 monetary policies, the key policy rates were being hiked by RBI. So how do you see that? You know, all these questions can come here. And friends, regulation of trade by RBI, the very simple, you know, this looks very simple, which is actually called, the reforms in banking sector. By we have a host of reforms today. Banking sector is faced with a lot of reforms. For example, the Bank Boards Bureau or the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code, right? The management issues or the governance issues, divestment, merger of banks, right? We have a series of mergers of public sector bank that is happening. We also having divestment plans for insurance. General insurance company is expected to be diversified, privatized. So friends, there are a lot of issues in the third unit of Indian economy, which you can actually has to see. Then friends, public finance, as you might be seeing papers these days, GST has become a contentious issue. Now, most of the states are having the debt burden, especially if you see Telangana also, most of the, whether it is West Bengal, whether it is Kerala, then North Telangana, all these states have complaining to the center that they are not allowed to borrow from RBI. In fact, recently RBI has refused permission for Telangana, and only just a few days back, Telangana was able to raise some 3,000 plus 4,000 crores by bond sale. Okay, so there are a lot of issues about the public finance for the center as well as states. So this part, section 1, Indian economy and development, is a very very important segment which you will have to see. Then friends, public finance is a very very important thing. Trends in budget. Then we have the issues like union budget analysis, fiscal policy, divestment. Air India has been sold back to Tata's. They bought it, they nationalized long back. Now Air India is again back to Tata's lap, right? So basically there are a lot of issues that you need to see here, and this is an important segment. Union budget. Then planning in Indian economy. See, we do know that there is an old planning commission which was replaced by Niti Aayog. Recently Iyer has been also appointed, right, as to Niti Aayog. So there have been a lot of developments in the planning strategies, achievements of 5-year plans, inclusive growth, Niti Aayog, privatization, globalization, features and importance. Friends, if you see the Indian economy part, the economy paper, you do have these areas. So our approach should be, now you need to see what all the questions expected in the section 1, what all the questions expected in section 2. So friends, as we go forward, I will be able to identify 10 questions each for you, most important, and we will deal with them, so that when you go to examination, we will provide the material also, as you are also attending, many of you are attending the entire PCM batch and other classes of mine, whether it is Telangana movement or history or polity by other Ratnakar sir and all that. So basically our approach is very examination oriented, and I advise you also to follow this and read the material given by us carefully in this class, because it's the first class of economy. I was just explaining these things to you. So we'll subdivide into 10 almost most probable questions. There may not be all. So as a whole, if you can understand the concepts and try to see about say 50 questions here approximately, 50 topics, and we'll do in a Q&A also. I explain the topic, then I will tell you how the questions are asked in that particular segment, and of course I will provide you the exact answers which comes to you for writing about, say, 1.5 a page, okay, or 1 A4 side, 8 minutes, whatever the ideal thing, with all the data I will give you. So what I want you to do is listen to the class properly, then take the class notes, because we'll also be dealing with the prelims and mains. I will also conduct 500 questions from the economy part of the prelims for you. We will divide it into 10 tests. So once we are into September, we'll also deal with the prelims focus, because that will help you out in this section, right? So this is about the segment 1, or part 1 of the economy and economic development. Then of course friends, as we know, once I start giving the material, you can also write tests for the mains. So before prelims, you need to, that is October 16th, right? So before prelims, we need to finish these units, the Indian economy as well as Telangana economy, and of course there is also third segment, which is development and environmental problems, but we will come to that. So this is about section 1, how do you do. And the next important is in paper 4, we have Telangana economy, which we are beginning now. We are starting with Telangana economy because Indian economy has been evolving. Lot of developments are there. We also need to capture current developments in Indian economy. Second point, why we are starting with Telangana economy is that it will give you more time to prepare for Telangana economy. Most of you students, you might already be preparing, reading papers and all that. So you would have gotten some idea about how Indian economy is being seen. But Telangana economy has been a puzzle. Friends, I also tell you, there is no authentic material on Telangana economy, and I have prepared a very good notes for you all, which I will be sharing as I take the classes. Right? So You just need not bother about any other material, friends. I tell you, just once you, as you are reading other aspects of classes also, whether Telangana movement and all that, this is a specially prepared thing for us. And our notes, as you know, is not also available outside in the market. Okay, so this is exclusive, notes for you, which will give you the best marks. There is no interview, friends. Right? All of you are aware there is no interview. So we are preparing notes like all other subjects in the economy also, so that you will get at least 6.5 to 7 marks. So that should be the case. So you have to read all that. Now let us move on to Telangana economy, section B of the paper. How do we go about it? Friends, Telangana economy also has 5 segments. First is Telangana economy in Hyderabad state, agriculture, industry and trade. Then we do have Telangana economy in the United Andhra Pradesh, 1956 and 2004. That is also there. Okay. Then the next important aspect is deprivation and underdevelopment, structure and growth in Telangana economy, sectorial trends in gross state domestic product, then per capita income, income inequalities and poverty. This we see 3 areas here, friends. For us, we approach one is what was the legacy that we got in Hyderabad state. As we see the measure of Hyderabad with Indian Union in the first phase from say 1948 to 56, and the best thing is what on the eve of 1948 we should try to understand. On the eve of 1948, what was the inheritance of the economic order in the Telangana, sorry, in the Hyderabad state, that we need to start. Then of course United Andhra Pradesh, 1956 to 2014. Here we have to see all 3 areas. One is the broad trends. See, the questions you can come, you can expect in this segment is, which we will also be discussing as going forward. Discuss the broad features of Telangana economy in United Andhra Pradesh. Okay, how you see with the Seemandhra, Rayalaseema and Andhra, where do we stand? Where Telangana economy stands? That also has to be seen. Then account for the tardy growth of Telangana economy during 1956-2014. Then underline the nature of agricultural development and issues in Telangana. Now irrigation. What has happened to the irrigation? Why irrigation potential of Telangana has not been harnessed properly? That kind of questions can come. Then trace the industrial development and trade in Telangana from 1956 to 2014. So, and of course, so agriculture, trade and industries. Then the underdevelopment. Why? Regional inequalities in Telangana, or the poverty in Telangana, if you compare with other parts of the state, that is United Andhra Pradesh. So how do you compare per capita income, income inequalities and poverty? All this have to be seen. So friends, in this segment alone, you see how do we approach the topic. There are so many questions in the first para itself. Okay, then of course we can also get into the structure. They also mentioned one next line in the syllabus of Unit 1 talks about structure of structure of Telangana economy. Here, what kind of questions you can get? See, when we say structure of the economy, there are 3-4 parameters which we need to see. One is how the gross state domestic product was moving on. What was the trends in that? That is one thing which we will have to see. The next important aspect is, of course, the growth of GSDP. What are the landmarks in growth of gross state domestic product, say from 2000, in the United Andhra Pradesh, as well as from 2014 to 21. I mean, after the creation of Telangana. Then assess the growth of per capita income in Telangana region in the last, say, 8 years or almost 7 years, because the fiscal ended up to 2021-22, right? So 2014 to 22 fiscal. How do we see the growth? That is one thing. Then, what are the driving factors for growth? Friends, Telangana has much more greater growth than the national average. You see, without any bias, we have to say that Hyderabad has become a most important growth engine. Okay, there are a lot of developments that are happening in the last 7 years or say 8 years. There has been a lot of development. So how do you see this? What are the growth drivers? Whether it is the basic IT and ITS industry, IT exports, or whether it is agriculture. Now see, we have so much produce that how the disposal of the produce has become a big issue. Telangana government is at the loggerheads with the government of India, right? To with FCI to procure paddy or to paddy or to not to procure. So the state has moved to a over surplus situation where there is lot of food grains and production is being done. So what are the growth? So like that, you can again get the sectorial questions. Structure of economy means we have to see the primary sector, then the that is agriculture, then the secondary sector, that is the industries, and of course stationary, that is services. What is the growth and what are the schemes and all that we have to see here when we say structure of economy. But it's a broad thing here. Okay, then the remaining chapters, they again detail it, what are the things we have to see. So here basically the focus is on sectorial trends in GSDP, per capita income, and of course income inequalities and poverty. That is how the main things have been given here in the unit 1. Of course friends, unit 2 in Telangana economy, we have to deal with the same way how the questions can be asked, that we will see as we go forward. Whether it is demographic structure, then demographic dividend, sex ratio, fertility, mortality rate, literacy and occupation structure. This is entirely a demographic thing that you need to see the population and all the surveys that are done by Telangana government, and what are the specialities, what are the number of backward castes or tribal population, everything, the sex ratio, literacy, what are the districts that are coming up and all that we have to say literacy rate wise. So second is actually a smaller unit here, but we need to see again what are the possible questions here, like we have seen in the first unit. Then friends, agriculture and land reforms. Land reforms become a very very important issue in Telangana. Why friends? Telangana had transitioned from, say, the monarchy, from a monarchy to a democracy, and in the process, even though there is abolition of Jagirdari system, abolition of Jagirs and all that, there is still a lot of requirement for land reforms. Land reforms not only in Telangana but in entire India is seen as an unfinished agenda. In fact, we have MS Swaminathan, who was the chairman of National Commission on Farmers (NCF), which was constituted in 2004. Okay, that was the main recommendation, where we have a lot of suggestions on MSP. Now see, we have agri reforms, right? Agri reforms, the government has brought in 3 acts, then again withdrew. Lot of controversy in Delhi. There were farmers agitation. All this was based on MSP formula and other agri reforms suggested by MS Swaminathan. So MS Swaminathan also said the land reforms was actually an unfinished agenda, and how it was taken. We need to, Telangana, we have a lot of Doras, Gajes and Doras, who had inherited vast tracts of land. Land reforms have 3 important segments. One, the land ceiling. What is the ceiling on the land? How much land a family can have, or a person can have. How do you define a person or householder? All these are very interesting issues which we have to see. So land reforms, one is of course the upper ceiling on the land. In fact, when Telangana was formed, elections were happening. There were promises by the government that some land, and at least 1 acre of land, will be given to each of the landless people. Of course, election promises are always election promises. There is always a difference between poll and reality. But we are not bothered about the politics or the elections. But the point is, there is a lot of importance to land reforms, where you implement an upper ceiling, then take that land back, over and above the upper ceiling, and of course you distribute it to landless people. That is one thing. Then of course tenancy reforms, tenancy reforms, where we have tenant farmers or kaulu darlu, their protection also is an important thing. Of course, abolition of jamindars has been done. Jamindari has been abolished, but even though jamindari has been abolished, the land ceiling, the tenancy reforms are important. How do you ensure the security of tenancy for a farmer? Then, of course, the upper ceiling on land. So, land reforms have three important segments, three important aspects. One is the abolition of jamindars, the jamindaris which has been done, which are called intermediaries, right? Jamindars are none other than the intermediaries between the farmer and the state as far as tax payment is concerned. So abolition of jamindaris has been done. Then tenancy reforms, what is the status of tenancy reforms? And of course, the third point is implementation of upper ceiling on the land ownership, land owned, and then collect the surplus lands over and above the upper ceiling and distribute. So these are the three aspects of land reforms. And here in this segment, we need to see how land reforms in phase 1, 1947, they have given, of course, but we have to say from 1948, because in syllabus they mentioned 1947. But from 1948, immediately what are the land reforms that were taken up in Telangana, that we have to see. Phase 1 is 1947, that means 48 for us here, 47 to 1970. We have to align land reforms in Telangana with the all India scenario. Where does Telangana stand as far as land reforms are concerned, like that? Then second generation land reforms from 1970 onwards. Of course, as part of the land reforms, how far these things were successful, how far abolition of jamindaris, how far the tenancy reforms, how far the upper ceiling of land was taken back to be distributed. Then they also mentioned land alienation in scheduled areas and impact of land reforms. How do you see? They may ask a question like, what kind of impact you see on the land reforms? Okay, in Telangana, do you think land reforms in Telangana have delivered the desired result, or what do you think land reforms in Telangana is an unfinished agenda, like that they may ask? So this is a very important segment. Then fourth segment, fourth unit in Telangana economy part 2 of paper 4 of economy and development is agriculture and allied sector. Here trends in share of crop and allied sectors in GSDP for everything, whether it is agriculture, industries, or services. We always have to see the trends in GSDP. Though in the first chapter, I will give you an overall picture in detail how has been the growth in the component of agriculture in the GSDP of Telangana, that we have to see. Then crop share, there are a lot of issues in Telangana agriculture, friends, if you are following, whether it is procurement or what types of crops have to be done, whether we should have a crop holiday, whether people should cultivate cotton or not, or food grains or not, paddy or not. It has been a major issue in the recent years. So we have to see what is the crop pattern. Then distribution of land holdings. Irrigation is a very major aspect here. You can definitely get questions on irrigation. What is the irrigation potential in Telangana, and how the irrigation has been harnessed? What are the projects that are completed or ongoing projects? For example, Kaleshwaram is there. Definitely there were a lot of projects which got completed. We have mission Kaktiya again. Whether the major projects or medium projects, or the small scale projects, then of course other measures like mission Kaktiya, irrigation is one important area here. Then Telangana is an important region for dryland agriculture. So what kind of problems we have in dryland agriculture in Telangana? Cropping pattern trends, as I already said, there has been some focus on changes in the cropping pattern. Then productivity, agricultural credit, very important. Agricultural credit extension and marketing, cooperatives and FPOs, farmers produce organizations. then PACs, primary agricultural cooperative societies in Telangana, then producer companies, all this is a very major area. And friends, there could be a lot of questions in the preliminary also. So what I'm trying to say is we can approach this subject in a prelims come mains way. If you are listening to the class and taking down the points, and of course reading the notes or material I give you, definitely we can say that the questions in the prelims will not go out of this, that much we can definitely assure you. So this is one important area, because all this come under Telangana government policies. The government policies, the most important is agriculture and industrial, right? Then, and of course services. This is the fourth unit, and the fifth unit is industry and services sector. Here, industrial development, structure and growth of industrial sector. What are the broad pattern of industries, industrial strength in Telangana? For example, we have cement industries, we have pharma industry, right? We have coal, right? So we have energy-based industries, infrastructural-based industries. Then forest product-based agro industries were also there. So then MSMEs is a very important area. MSMEs is the focus are there. Then SIC industries, revival of SIC industries, industrial infrastructure, power, industrial policy of Telangana, very, very important. As I was talking about TSI pass, what is the latest things that we see here? This becomes a very, very important segment. Then structure and growth of services sector. Telangana and Hyderabad had become a hub of services sector. We have a lot of majors, setting up their factories outside their own US, the largest, whether it is T Hub, for example. T Hub was now the largest facility has been inaugurated to promote startups. So here, information and ICT policy of Telangana, industrial policy, TS IPAS policy, then startup policy, T Hub, all these things could be a very, very software exports. We have old name is HISIA, Software Exports Association of Hyderabad, but now it is, software exports. What kind of software exports? What is the growth in software exports from Telangana? How it is actually pushing the growth? Very, very interesting area. Also, this. Then information and communication, e-governance. We also need to touch upon e-governance here. So this is a very, very important segment, friends. And as I said, in each of the topics, once I explain, I will identify, like how I have told you, almost 10 questions in the first segment, right? Of course, this will be provided to you in the form of material and discussion. So this is how you have to go about Telangana economy. And last segment, development and environmental problems. This is also very interesting, though they have brought it in this segment. There is a little overlap, but prelims it has a relevance again. See, that's why I always say, if you read in a PCM manner in history, whether it is Indian history and Telangana history, then polity and governance, then economy, okay, S&T, they will definitely going to help you in the prelims also. You have to complete them before prelims. Never try to separate prelims and mains preparation. Prelims tests have to be different, but preparation has to be together. We'll complete entire economy part much before your prelims, so that you will get the time to revise both prelims and mains. And once we complete, you can also focus again on revision and mains tests. So here, environment versus development, definition of environment, environmentalism, then environmental promotion policy, okay, instruments, natural resources, forest resources, okay, commercialization of forests, ecosystems, biodiversity, environmental pollution, and global environmental issues. This is also very interesting. Here we need to see whether the national aspects have to be taken into consideration. Then regional aspects, Telangana related, environmental and ecological issues, development issues here. What are the challenges for pollution and all that for Telangana? And of course, we have to sync this with the global development. So, friends, this is how the approach for economy you have to see. Now, the point is books. What kind of books you want me to recommend? honestly, given the nature of the syllabus, it is very tough to suggest one book for you. You know, for example, if you see Indian economy part, you may get books like Mishra and Puri. For ecology and others, you may get book like Majid Hussain. And of course, for Telangana part, there is no choice, we have to prepare the notes. I'm not sure whether the books that are available in the market, most of the books available in the market are group 2 books which are bits, but that fail you to make any analysis in the mains. Okay, so what I suggest is, you trust me, I will provide you every notes. Once you see the classes and see the notes, you will believe me, right? And simply read that. So you should have the advantage of joining a coaching with me. So obviously I will provide everything to you. So pointedly I will provide. You get a broad perspective in the classes. We have a live class, you can ask me in the chat. Then you can also see them later, because they are always recorded. Second time also, after live they get recorded in your login, right? You can see them again. Then of course, take the material, read and write. So this is the approach. Material, don't worry, that's my responsibility. Along with the classes, I will give you the best of the material for it. So friends, this is how you need to go about it. And now let me give you some kind of, we will almost starting the first one in Telangana segment. As I said, we'll begin this paper with the Telangana economy. So the first one is, I just want to give you some idea about the industrial base in Hyderabad. On the eve of 1948, friends, we have mentioned here the four areas. See, you will be surprised really. Hyderabad has some of the best things to happen in the industry, and compares very well with the other states, nationally developed regions. Of course, we know that Salarjung reforms in Telangana movement as well as Telangana history. You might have come across Salarjung reforms and all that. That's history part. I don't want to get back to that now in the economic class, but let me give you some bird eye view of what are the basic strengths. What is the legacy? Industrial base. This is the correct word. Industrial base of Hyderabad on the eve of merger with the Indian Union in 1948. So, friends, we can divide this industrial base in Hyderabad as four major brackets, sections. One is infrastructural industries. You'll be surprised that Nizam Guaranteed State Railway Company, you know, NGSRC. Then road transport company. We have railways; they are state owned. Then of course roads also. If you go via RTC crossroads, you see an old bus there, right? So obviously in the road sector also, Telangana has got very good industrial base. Then friends, you will know, I don't know whether you will be knowing or not, you will be surprised. Hyderabad, Mysore and Kashmir, these are the only states which had power generation in those days in India, state owned power generation. Kashmir, Hyderabad and Mysore. So power generation, and in fact we have thermal as well as hydro. In Manjira we have hydro project. So industrial base of Telangana, if you see, you have one group is infrastructural. Then minerals, we all know Singareni coal company. Now it is called SCCL. But this from 1920 onwards, this has become a very major supplier of producer of coal for Hyderabad and Telangana. Telangana is also good in limestone. I don't know if you travel, you observe. If you have gone to Tandur and Vikarabad, you see lot of Shabad stones. Okay, so limestone, garnets, marble, and of course diamonds. Hyderabad also had the Carnatic part. So there is a company called Hutti Diamond Company, which was very important for diamond. Then, friends, we had agro-based industries by 1948. Cotton, oil seeds, rice, flours, alcohol, sugar, and cigarettes. In my childhood, when I was young, there is a Charminar cigarette company, which is VST. You know, Wazir State Tobacco. The full form of VST is So the cigarettes are also very popular. Alcohol industry was very much there in Hyderabad and Telangana. Forest products, Telangana has good forest cover, as you all know. Forest cover is also there. Then other industries are ceramic, metal engineering, chemicals, and traditional medicine. Okay, Unani and all that are produced. So, friends, it is with this background that we have to start the economy discussion. So, in the next class, we'll directly plunge this. What you remember the approach I had given you, like how many questions are expected. Every chapter we will see 10 questions, and I will explain and give you the material. And rest of the discussion will continue tomorrow. Okay, same time. And you can chat. You can join us the chat and ask any questions. I'm available live when the class is over. Otherwise, also you can ask me, whether you can call me or WhatsApp. I'm always available. Okay, so see you in the next class.